Good morning. Monday morning, May 17th. Feeling a little bit tired this morning after this very full weekend. We had our missions conference this weekend, and boy, I tell you, it is Monday morning comes early after full weekends like this. I know many of you can relate who have been a part of this last weekend. Daryl and Suzanne, it's good to see you this morning. Deanne, fine. Jeremy and Wendy, good morning. Such a great weekend. God, used each of the missionary speakers in so many different ways to encourage, and it's so good. It's always such a good weekend, but for those who are on the inside doing all the work, hats off to you. I mean, I'm exhausted. You must be exhausted. Mike and Joe, I see you. Sally Crocker, Dana Krishak, I see Michael, my brother, Michael and Kim, Carmen Lego, good morning. Good morning, Mom. Good to see you. Yeah, so my brain is pretty foggy this morning. Debbie King this morning, good to see you. And so, in mornings like this, it's just slower. I get up and drink my cup of coffee and just let the cobwebs start to clear. And I'm reading the scriptures and spending time in prayer, just trying to seek the Lord. And those are just the way it feels sometimes. But I came across Psalm 107 this morning, which was so good. I was actually looking. Some mornings I just allow the Psalms to come to me, and then the other mornings I'm actually searching for a Psalm. Of the 5 Psalms, I'm like, okay, that's not it. That's not it. As I go through each of my daily readings, I'm looking for something specific. And I couldn't even say what it is, except for my soul knows when I read it. And this morning I got to 107, and my soul said, yep, that's the one. Meditate on that this morning. And so I want to read some portions of it for you. Psalm 107, verse 1 says this: "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, whom he has redeemed from trouble and gathered in from the lands, from the east and from the west, from the north and from the south." So Psalm 107 is the testimony of the redeemed. It's like, yep, his steadfast love never ends. God's steadfast love is always there, no matter what my life experience has been, whether I am experiencing the top of the mountain or the depth of the valley. God is with me. God loves me. I can cry out to him, and he will redeem my soul. And interestingly, it was about this time last year that I did a message on this psalm. It was a pre-recorded message because we were on lockdown, and we weren't having in-person services, and so it's kind of fun to reflect about a year later on this great psalm. So God's steadfast love is the point. It's his covenantal relational love toward us, that he'll always be there. He'll always be true to his promise. He'll always be present in our highs and our lows. And so I'm going to read some of these experiences. It's broken up. The psalm is 43 verses long, and it's broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. I'll just read a couple verses from each section, because the psalmist describes different life experiences and then how God's people have experienced the steadfast love of God in those experiences. So here's the first life experience, beginning in verse 4. "Some wandered in desert wastes, finding no way to a city to dwell in. Hungry and thirsty, their soul fainted within them." So they're longing, they're unsatisfied, there's some sort of we'll just leave it at that. That they're longing for some sort of satisfaction, and they're longing to get to a place of shelter and provision and some sort of let's leave it at that. You have to be patient with my brain this morning. It is a morning. So here's how God responds to the hungry and thirsty in this dry and weary land. Verse 7, he led them by a straight way till they reached a city to dwell in. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wondrous works to the children of man. For he satisfies the longing soul, and the hungry soul he fills with good things. So to those who are hungry and thirsting and seeking a refuge, God is there. His steadfast love is evident. Verse 10, some sat in darkness in the shadows of death, prisoners in affliction and in irons, for they had rebelled against the words of God and spurned the counsel of the Most High. So these believers' experience was that of they rebelled against God, they didn't listen to his words, and God allowed them to be captive. They experienced the bonds, So Israel definitely experienced this because of their rebellion. Yet God's love hasn't abandoned them. He breaks their bonds and rescues them when they cry out to him. What does it say? They cried out in the trouble, this is verse 13, and he delivered them in their distress. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love. So we're hungry and thirsting. God brings us to a refuge. We are in rebellion. God allows us to be held captive, or we receive the discipline of the Lord, yet his steadfast love is present. And then even the fools, verse 17, some were fools through their sinful ways, and because of their iniquities suffered affliction. So God allows us to experience the consequences of our foolhardiness, that we're just making dumb choices sometimes. I've been there many times. I will be there, I'm sure, again. And in those moments, we're crying out to God, God, I need your help. I need you to kind of sustain me through my foolhardiness. And verse 21, let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, and let them offer sacrifices of thanksgiving and tell his deeds and songs of joy. So you're kind of at the bottom of your of a life experience. I've run to the end because of my choices, or a series of choices. I'm taking responsibility for that. Yep, that was foolish. Yet God doesn't spurn me. He allows me to feel the pain of my folly, but he's there. His steadfast love is there. And the last group of people, some went down to the sea in ships, doing business on the great waters. And they saw the deeds of the Lord, his wondrous works in the deep. For he commanded and raised the stormy wind, which lifted the waves of the sea. And this is an interesting section because some are out there just doing what they need to do to earn a living. Their living is derived from the sea. So they're out there in ships, and God himself stirs up the waters. And the waters, oftentimes in the Old Testament, when they're stirred up like this, are often the symbols of chaos and or nations that rise up against God. And God in these times displays his sovereignty. And so all I could think of with regard to these as a part of the redeemed, and why God would be stirring up these waters of chaos and disrupting their business plans, it makes me think of James, the book of James, when he says, do not say, this year we're going to go down to that city and do this business and make this amount of money. He says, who are you to say this? I mean, you don't know your future. Only God does. So instead say, if it is God's will, we'll go to this city and do this business and make this amount of money. So you're acknowledging in all of your life that God is the one who is in control, and you're trusting him and you're leaning on him. And God, in this case, is even the one pictured as stirring up the chaos to kind of disrupt these sailors, these merchants' plans, as if to remind them, hey, remember your life is short. You're not in control of things. You need to trust me. It's a part of his steadfast, fatherly love toward us to remind us. The Stoic philosophers of old When I say of old, they predate Jesus. I mean, thousands of years old. The Stoic philosophers had a Latin saying that said, memento mori, which means remember death. Basically, it's a way of when you think you're on top of the world, you still have to remember you're human. Remember your frailty. Remember that you're vulnerable, lest you fall. Basically, so memento mori is the Latin phrase. And so I think this is what Jesus or what God is after here. He's like, hey, remember you're human. You're making all these plans. You're out on the sea. You're making money. Remember that you're frail. Remember that you're vulnerable. You need my help. I'm here as the one to whom you can call out, and which they do. They're in the midst of the chaos of the sea. They call out to God, and God delivers them. Verse 29, he made the storm be still, and the waves of the sea were hushed. Then they were glad that the waters were quiet, and he brought them to their desired haven. And that's how God works. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love. And the whole psalm ends with verse 43, whoever is wise, let him attend to these things. Let us consider all of these things that we've read. Let them consider the steadfast love of the Lord. So I loved that this morning, just meditating on all our life experiences and how God's really looking at how he can benefit us. And sometimes that benefit comes through troubling times, the effect of our own folly, our own poor decisions, even when we're rebelling against God. His steadfast love remains, and it's manifest toward us in a variety of ways. Sometimes discipline, sometimes allowing us to see the consequences of our folly. Sometimes God even creates a little bit of chaos to remind us of our frailty so that we would maximize our understanding of who he is, his love toward us, that he is calling out depth in us. And coming back to the very first two verses of this, how the people, let the redeemed of the Lord testify to the steadfast love of God. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Say that we have put our trust in the Lord, and his love endures forever. So, happy Monday to you all. If you're still recovering from the weekend, as am I, I pray that God gives us all a special measure of grace today in physical provision and mental provision. I'm still waiting for my mind to wake up a little bit and shaking off the cobwebs. So we will see you again tomorrow morning. Lord bless you today.